Recording. Okie doke.
All right. So, ready?
Maybe, possibly. There you go.
There it goes. All
go
right.
live. Okay.
So, hi everybody. Welcome to DNC Marketing's Topic Tackle Tuesday.
Hello.
I'm Darian.
I'm Julio.
And today we're talking about a lot of things mindset, most notably new level, new devil stuff, and hitting the reality wall and self-sabotage and all the things that go into that.
Yep. I'd say that this is a exercise, like an exorcism. Get it? Of the devil.
Oh yeah, I get it.
Okay. All right.
I'm usually pretty slow with that. I got my notes here.
Slow in general.
So, the first thing we want to talk about is how we got to where we are here and the things that you're going to encounter as you grow in entrepreneurship, as you build your business. But it's not just where we're at now, it's the things we learned before we ever started a business that helped us, really find our resilience and pull ourselves up from the very bottom of the tank when we had nothing left to get things done to get to where we are now.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So the first thing,
Yeah.
well, when we started DNC copywriting, the first one, and then before that, Wild Texas Soaps, everything was brand new. So we were pulling from past experiences, which was just career-wise. So why don't you kick it off? You promoted very quickly in your corporate sales job and rose to the top, and that, I know for me it wasn't easy. So I can imagine for you it wasn't easy.
No, it was super easy.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
So. No, basically all it really was put your nose down to the grindstone, right? Like, I didn't have any. When I initially got hired on, I was labor, and then all I did was basically say to everybody that was above me, I just kept on going like, how do I get your job? And how do I get your job? And how do I get your job? And then that's pretty much the gist of it. I just kind of outworked everybody else, and then eventually, like, you just couldn't deny my promotion because like there just wasn't anything you can say negative about me. Literally, the only thing that was ever negatively said about me, and to some people this is a big negative, granted, was that I was always 5 minutes late to everything.
Yeah. That hasn't changed.
Yeah, and that, so yeah, it is something that I still struggle with. I tend to, I don't know what it is. To me, I'm like, I know it takes me 30 minutes to drive this place. So in my mind, I'm ready to leave in 30 minutes. But, I guess I should be in 35 minutes because it does take me an extra 5 minutes to get my keys and find them and put on my shoes, then get to the car, then plug in the phone, and then search for some music and then plug that in and then go. So, it takes a few minutes to do all that.
And as your wife, I know these things. And so I try to make sure we're ready to go like 45 minutes early, and somehow we still don't make it.
Actually, we do. So, there.
Because somebody's a speeder. But in the Air Force, I've
Who's
been
gotten those speeding tickets?
Debatable.
Not debatable.
Debatable.
Not a debatable thing.
Well, look that up. But in the Air Force, I was drilled always be 15 minutes early. If you're 15 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And so, like, there's very real anxiety that I get when we are late to things because it's been drilled in so hard. Yeah. But, I mean, for another new level, like every time I hit a new rank in the Air Force, it was a new level of responsibility. It was new tasks, new responsibilities. And then every new base we went to, new tasks, new responsibilities. Had to relearn my job every single time. And there's so much pressure that goes with that. But what that helped us in our business learn was that there's no end to learning.
Right.
And you have to remain humble every time you do hit a new level because you're going to encounter somebody who's got worlds more experience than you, and they're going to look at you like, look at this new kid on the block. What do they think they're doing? And you have to remember that you can learn from these people. Even if you don't like these people, right, you can learn from these people. So, and I like to frame that in like feedback we get. So, feedback from people above us and mentors, feedback from customers and things like that. Like every time it hits and it really hurts, like sometimes we get feedback that's like, oh, they didn't like my ad. I have to remember like, oh, okay, this is just another growing point. This is some feedback I can either take or I can like let go of because it really doesn't matter.
Right, which goes with my post today, which is never believe what they say about you.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Hashtag Chael Sonnen.
Oh, God.
Anyways, okay, so basically the long and short of that was just that if you get a lot of hate, in your messages and things like that, it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't deduct your self-worth. If you get a lot of love, it doesn't make you an awesome person, right? Like, if you get a lot of love, you need to stay humble. And if you get a lot of hate, you need to be able to move on and brush that to the side and take it as the lesson that it is, as opposed to something that is destructive. Now, of course, there are levels to that, right? You say something really, really stupid or do something really, really stupid. There's a chance that actually does hurt your business. But I mean, you have to be doing like illegal type of stupid.
Oh yeah.
Like not.
It would impact.
Right. It would not just like I didn't use, I don't know, the right pronunciation when I said zebra instead of zebra or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like it can depend on many variables. Off to you.
Right. Well, and I also think people get very, very afraid of getting hate, because even as a small business, because of what we see like happening to celebrities and people who are much further along. Like you see your mentors and things who've got, like millions of followers, and they're getting hate in all of their posts, every single ad and things like that. And I think that really scares people. And then you see things happening like Kevin Hart. Somebody dug into his Twitter feed account and found something from like forever ago. And like that impacted his career in the fact that people were talking about it. Not necessarily the fact that it cost him any money or anything. But I think people are really afraid of that kind of thing happening, and I think that's a very unrealistic fear.
Well, it might have cost him money. I mean, I think didn't he like
sponsorships maybe and stuff.
Maybe things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the point though is the same. I get what you're saying, which is just that you can't be fearful of everything, because then you're not progressing and you're not doing anything.
Yeah. No, and I 100% agree with that. And I think we struggle on like the level of where that starts and where that ends. Because to me, I'm just like, just dive in. If you're afraid to do something, like face your fear and dive head in and just get started with it, because that's the only way you're going to move past and learn and do better.
Right.
But there is also a point where you're like, I'm not necessarily afraid to dive in. I don't really know what to do right now, and I'm feeling kind of lazy, so I'm just going to like duct tape something together. Like, that's not okay.
Right.
If you have the capability, if you have a way forward that you can add production value to and actually put real effort into, then you should.
Yeah, there's certainly a sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
There's a point where you don't want to give out a really just crap product and crap service and promise everybody the moon. Like I've seen some people say, like I can't remember who it was, but it was, they said that they created their landing page, their sales page, their webinar, and then they said like, I have this course, it's guaranteed to do X, Y, and Z. And then once they got 100 people or 200 people or whatever to buy their course, then they started to create the course. And to them, they go, well, it helps me because it puts pressure on me, and I have to do it. The only problem with that is, I would certainly argue, and I've never taken the course, so I don't know for sure, but I would certainly argue that more than likely that course was probably really crappy. It was probably really low production quality, not a lot of editing, not a lot of super specific information that was incredibly well thought out, because he had to get this done in, like the course opens in 4 weeks. Well, you have to get, and Darian and I know how long, take doing a course is, and
months.
So it's like, to get that done in 4 weeks means that your end product is going to be crap. And so then all he was basically saying was like, well, I got my money. I'll do whatever I can, and then I'll update it as I need to or seem fit. And I just can't relate to that. To me, I'm like, that's stupid, and you're putting your some self-interest before your customers.
Yeah.
And but the other side to it is more like Darian. She's not that way, but when we first started, that kind of was her mentality, was just like, not only the fake it till you make it, but the like, we'll just put whatever we can together and give it to the masses, and hopefully things turn out.
Yeah.
I can get this done in 2 days.
And the reason for it is because I listen to a lot of coaches and a lot of people out there saying like, if you're 10% ahead, then you're far enough ahead to be teaching somebody. And I don't think that's necessarily untrue, but to charge a large amount for that type of knowledge when people are going to be able to catch up within like a couple of videos, I think that's more suited for building your following and putting content out as you're learning, and building a following that way.
Yeah.
And I was also limited by our capabilities and the money that we had at the time, and a lot of fear behind what I was putting out too. And so I was just like, I don't want to think about it, I can't do this, I'm gonna figure it out as I go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then like for me, I'm the opposite. I'm the like, I have to plan everything, and I have to plan for the plan for the plan.
Oh.
And the problem with that is, once again, things just don't get done. Right? It's one of those things where no matter how much I like, our current business is almost, not quite, but almost identical to how our business was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But in those 2 years, I had a million ideas, and we've done a million different email series, and hundreds of landing pages, and hundreds of emails, and hundreds of hours worth of work. And then I would be like, you know what? I finally see the hole in this. I don't want to do it. Let's move on to the next thing.
Yep. And
in a weird roundabout way, now that we are where we are, it's nice to think, right, that it took 2 years to learn that this process that we're currently implementing, which again is not identical but similar, that it took us 2 years to learn how to get to this. Kind of that whole Edison thing where, I didn't fail 2,000 times to make a light bulb. I just found 2,000 ways not to, or something like that.
Yeah.
Sort of the same concept.
And I think this is really important to think about too. Is anybody who's bringing on a spouse, a partner, a friend, somebody, even just an employee or a contractor, somebody who's going to come into your business and have to kind of learn things, not from scratch, because you weren't learning from scratch. You had all your sales principles and everything, but the online framework, learning a lot of new things.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of patience that goes with that, and there's a lot of, I have to let you make mistakes, even though I feel like I know the answer here because I've been through it. Things may have changed. So what I learned, what I'm still learning is like, put your ego in check, put your ego aside, and I need to trust that Julio's going to figure things out, know what he's doing in these aspects, and if he doesn't, we're going to figure it out together. And just because I think I know the answer, because a certain frame of circumstances happened for me when I did this, does not mean the exact same thing's going to happen for him. So we had to learn how to figure things out over those 2 years, and there was lots of frustration and things like that, and it was a new level in that way.
Right.
It was like 2 years of learning incredible things and creating different kinds of followership, talking to a ton of clients, and figuring out exactly what people were looking for and how we can help them the very best way.
Yep. And it's something we still struggle with.
I think that's something...
On a daily basis.
I think...
She yells at me. Please help me.
Please help me. SOS. I think that's something that everybody has to understand, that's never going to stop, right? I mean, just like every time we move and I'm in a new environment, every day I walk into work with the Air Force and there's a new fire that needs to be put out. There's a new thing that we have to figure out on the fly in order to make things work so we can, so we can get to work and make things happen. That's never going to stop. And entrepreneurship is the exact same way. And that's what has taught me that this is okay.
Yeah.
How it's happening right now, and my unrealistic expectations when we first started in any of our businesses, that we're going to hit a point and then be able to just kind of coast, that's never going to happen.
Right.
Because that's never happened in any frame of our lives. In our relationship, and we've been together, almost 16 years, right? I forget. Almost 20 years.
Wow. How can you forget?
We've been together a long time, but our relationship...
I've counted every day that we've been together.
Oh, have you?
No, I've counted, like on a jail set.
And it continues to evolve. Anybody who's been in a relationship for a long time knows it continues to evolve, right? Just like your business, it will continue to evolve. You'll feel like oh, okay, that's it. This is where I'm at. This is where my customers are. I'm really happy with this. I've hit a sweet spot. And then another year later, things are going to change. You're going to have different ideas. You're going to evolve as a person, which means your business is going to evolve, and your customers are going to evolve.
Which is why we noted in the Masterclass, if you watch that, to do the DNC Marketing Personality Sales System 5-week test. Like once every 6 months, at least once a year, just to keep yourself honest, just to make sure that your audience is still who you think they are.
Right, and then as you grow, like with that 5-week test, your audience is expanding as you grow. So if you think like you're focused on the golden retriever, a year from now, if your audience has doubled, it might not just be golden retriever. It could be other avenues that you're not hitting properly. So
because it's mainly consistent, it's mainly about percentages.
Yeah.
Right. So if you were before, according to your statistics and all that stuff, you look like, okay, my primary is golden retriever, what you won't know for sure is if it's like a 60% to 40%. And then over that course of that year, if it'll move to otter and kind of switch place and go 60% otter, 40% golden retriever. But you need to make sure that your message is being slightly altered as your business is progressing, so that way you make sure your tonality and things like that continue to evolve with your customer base.
Right. It's basically like following the train of thought that your customer has. So like reading their mind.
Right.
If they're going from like a bit touchy and they're like, I don't know, I don't trust, I need some help here, and you kind of give them that extra attention, that extra love, and then not just one customer. We're thinking about them in a great big group mind thought. Mm-hmm. If those words make sense.
That was terrible.
Group thinking. As those customers move from, I need a little bit more attention, a little more touchy-feely, to maybe, a lot more enthusiastic, excitable, they want to have a lot of fun, like your tone is going to change considerably in that evolution. Right. And you need to be paying attention to that and know how to do that. And that's why we love the system, is because you can take the same copy, the same content, and just change the tonality a little bit, and boom, you've hit a new market.
There you go.
Yeah, with the same message.
Yep, exactly.
So other levels that I feel like we've hit is when you came into the business and brought in basically all the production value, a whole lot of vision. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, and I was just going to say...
Let me just continue to...
Interrupt me as I...
No, I'm saying I will allow you to continue to lavish me with praise.
Oh, okay. He's so amazing.
And what was that? The rest? Production value, just basically a genius in most ways. Fantastic person, father, husband.
Basically, I had to put a lot of ego aside when he came in.
To make room for mine.
Yeah, exactly, because he takes up a lot of space. With
wow.
ego.
Is that a fat joke?
No, ego.
Wow. Jeez. God. Take up a lot of space. I'm sorry.
And because the business was my baby, right? And it had started with our soap and candle business, which I fought you tooth and nail with, and didn't want any of your input at all whatsoever. You gonna talk about those?
No, I just want to take them off.
Because they're annoying you?
Yep.
Okay. And I had to just kind of shut up and let him, one, learn, and two, bring his vision in, because we wouldn't be where we are now without all of the production value, all of the thought, and the chess moves, because Julio does think in chess moves, that we needed in order to grow to where we are now. Mm-hmm. And where we are now is yet another level that we are experiencing, and is probably, I would say, the hardest thing we've hit. Emotionally, physically.
There's a lot of work to be done with all these ads we're producing. There's a lot of money that we're putting in, tens and tens of thousands of dollars a month. And it's certainly nerve-wracking when we were not doing that before. When we were trying to keep it either organic or, little bits, hundreds, or just barely into the thousands per month. So it was, this is certainly a new step up, but we realized that we have to take a risk, right? Risk it for the biscuit. You got to take that. You got to risk a little bit to get a lot.
Hashtag fired up. Anybody seen that movie? It's my favorite movie that nobody's ever heard of.
You're so lame. Hashtag fired up. God.
What were we talking about?
You said I was super good at...
No. We were talking about the ads.
You said I was super good at chess moves, which I am good at chess. Actually, Darian has never beat me at chess. We probably played 500 times by now.
Because you cheat.
No, I cheated one time.
Anyways.
And I confessed years later. Because I felt guilty. But I did.
So the ads, and for anybody who hasn't put a ton of effort and stuff into ads, this is hard. This means we're putting a lot of trust in an agency. We're working with them on a daily basis sometimes to tweak and completely redo things to make sure we're hitting the right marks, and when we're not, brainstorming to figure out what's going wrong, what we need to do.
Right.
Testing different audiences from scratch, and then going back to rewarm, which means we have to have patience in where the results are coming from and understanding those.
Yeah, and the whole reason behind the agency is because we realize that between trying to produce this sort of content just organically, going live, talking to y'all, producing content for all the other platforms, making videos for ads, for masterclasses, coming up with the intensive, but just so many things that we're doing, we have limited time. And to really delve deep and look at the analytics behind ads, takes time.
Yeah.
And if this was 6 months ago, no reason for an agency. Like, we are not doing all these other things. As many of you know that have followed us for a while, there were bits and pieces of time that we were like completely radio silent. You didn't have any idea if we were alive or not. And but now we're trying to be a lot more consistent in that in order to provide value on a regular basis to y'all and not just like in sporadic spurts. So that's sort of the whole point of the reasoning behind the agency, and it's something that we have had to let go of as far as control, right? Because we need to trust that they know what they're doing, that we knew what we're doing, that we can collaborate and talk and discuss. But it is also money on our end, not only from the advertising standpoint, but to continue to utilize their services. So, it's like paying an employee and then that employee saying like, yeah, I know how to build houses, I need this for labor and all that, when you're the one that used to build the house, right? So now you're just like, crap, not only am I paying this guy, but now he's asking for all these materials and things like that, and like I'm busy doing other things, and it's just that it's difficult in its own way.
Right, and here's the unrealistic expectation I had when we first got started with this whole new level, was that, okay, great, we're going to hire an agency because we believe our effort should be spent fulfilling customer needs, right? We want to put out content consistently. We made a commitment to do it. We're going to stick with that commitment. We're going to serve our members even better and put on those intensives and help them in more group coaching and one-on-one settings.
Right.
So we had to let things go. So I'm like, great, okay, the agency, they're going to take this off our plate. We don't have to worry about it. Things are going to come in. It's going to be awesome. But that's not the case at all. Like, we have had to put in so much more work than I realized in order to keep this moving in the right direction, but we're also learning an incredible amount. So new level, new devil, like that's what it means. It's like whatever expectation you have of where you're going to succeed, it's not going to be like that at all. It's going to be a little bit more work. It's going to be more money. It's going to be more time. You're going to have to bring on new people to train. And these are all good things. Yeah,
in the grand scheme of things, this is how you build and continue to evolve your business.
Right.
That's just part of it.
Right. And like I said before, when we first started, and like I kind of duct taped things together in a way out of fear, mostly.
You should have had a sponsorship deal.
What, for duct tape? And like I'm experiencing that fear now, and like I think a lot of people have the same fear, and it leads to things like self-sabotage, which I am totally guilty of, because of a fear of success. Not necessarily a fear of failure, though. Like, it comes in stages, right? So I fear success, and then rejection, and then failure, in that order, right? Because if the success comes, now I have an expectation of where I'm supposed to be, not just like from people coming in thinking like we are this certain way, but for myself, like I've hit a mark, I have to exceed that mark now. Like atmosphere of excellence, like the entrepreneurs and things that we're involved with, both of the careers we've been involved with, you're submersed in an atmosphere of excellence, and if you do not achieve excellence in everything you do, like you feel it because you're around people who are. Okay. And I mean, those are the things that I'm feeling. I don't know if those are the things that you're feeling.
No, for me, it's just basic general panic.
And I think everybody experiences that, right?
Like, oh yeah, for sure. Everyone, it's certainly a thing, right? It's you fear what you don't know, right? It's fear of the unknown, and you don't know if this is going to work really well. You don't know if it's not going to work really well. You don't know what that means if it does or if it doesn't. I mean. You get excited because you're like, man, if we can make X amount of money or blah, 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 we can make X amount of dollars, we can do this. And then you also get nervous because you're like, oh, but if we don't, then we're going to lose this, and this. And then what if we break even? Well, if we break even, then we spent months doing this, and this, and we got nothing in return. So what does that mean? Like everything has a developmental point of saying, what does that mean? Right? Even if you exceed it and you go like, we made $1 million in a week. Great. What does that mean? Like, in other words, like to your business. Yeah. How do you progress that? How do you hit new markers? Is that sustainable? Or did you just cap out and now you're going to put in like, let me just put in $500,000 into advertising because now that definitely must mean that I'm going to make millions more, and you lose it all. Like, what does that really mean for you? Can you retire off it? Can you not? Like, what are you going to do now?
So, okay, so this brings up a great point then, and like, what's the end goal for you? And that's something that you need to decide now. And that's something like we're also working on.
You need an exit plan.
You need an exit plan. You need to know where you want to end up. And then all the actions you're taking should be to get you there. So it's the overall vision of your company.
It's like walking away from a blackjack table.
Yeah.
Like that's what, to some extent, even though we are more in control as entrepreneurs, because there's that gamble, that risk, that reward, possibly, you almost become addicted to that feeling, and you want to continue to push and to create new businesses and new ideas. And I'm not saying you can't. For those of you that want to do that, go ahead, please do. I am just saying that there is a level where you may want to think about not doing exactly that.
Right.
Because
where does your happiness lie, right?
Right.
This is something I struggle with because, again, atmosphere of excellence, I have a lot of ambition, I think. And that ambition means that I am constantly hungry and thirsty for more, which means, like, am I ever really going to be happy when I hit those milestones that we're working toward? And I think that, for me, that's something I really struggle with, and I think a lot of people struggle with that. And having that end goal in mind, you don't have to take the end goal once you get there. You can create a new end goal.
Right.
But you need an end goal so that you can measure that satisfaction level. Because if you just continue to hustle for your whole life and never find your, the milestone, the achievement that you're looking for, that's emotionally and mentally, that's very difficult to live with.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. And where was I going with that train of thought?
Not sure.
Yeah. Atmosphere of excellence, anything like that. New level, new devil, all of those things. So I think that's where my self-sabotage comes from too, is because with the fear of success, I would be very, very happy continuing to tweak and work in the silence, right? There's a part of me that really loves working in the background and just not having FaceTime, being able to just tweak in a very small part.
Yeah. It's because 99% of the time she's popping up behind any picture hello, I'm Darian, look at me.
That's another psychological thing we can dig into later. But it's the introvert in me. And believe it or not, I am an introvert. I have grown a lot in the last several years. If you look back, I think they're on Facebook. If you look way back at my first videos, you can tell how terrified I am to be on camera.
You were so cute.
Oh my God, it was so awful.
You were adorable.
The first video that I ever published on Facebook, it was pre-recorded. And I did it 50 times. I remember counting. I did it 50 times and was finally that's it. I'm tired. This is the one that's going up because, again, duct tape out of fear. Sponsored. And
she just it was terrible too because you had the webcam and instead of it being level or up or even slightly down, it was right here. So she's hey everybody, what's up?
Stop.
Welcome to DMC Copywriter.
But everybody's got to start somewhere, and that was my thought that day. That was my thought that day was you know what, this is where it starts, and it doesn't matter that this video sucks. Because this is just the beginning for me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get to a point where these videos don't suck anymore. And then I'm going to get to the point where people love these videos. And then I'm going to get to the point where I'm a famous movie star. And
look at us now.
And look, I'm not a movie star yet.
We suck less.
We suck less. But we really enjoy what we do.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important to me. Because as much success as we've had, of all the things that we've achieved, it can be difficult to find you're happy in all of that, no matter how hard you work and what you get. But if you find that
happy.
You're so stop it.
Oh.
If you find you're happy in every single level,
I just got brownie points. Yes. Yes.
If you find you're happy in every single level, then it's a great journey, right? And that's what that is, right? It's the happiness is in the, what is the saying? It's in the journey, not the destination, or whatever.
Or whatever. Quote, or whatever.
But yeah, that was the point. It's always making fun of me. You guys are getting some real insight today.
Or whatever.
How am I being treated?
With love and admiration and care and respect. Woe is you.
Those are the only points I had. Do you have more to say?
No. Okay. Well, we would like to thank y'all for joining us. Please feel free to watch, thumbs up, subscribe. You can't subscribe on YouTube, or on Facebook, but follow the page. what else can they do?
Well, we do post this on YouTube, on IGTV, on Facebook. So make sure if you're on any of those platforms, you know, like, follow, subscribe, all those things. We really want to hear your thoughts on this because this was a very off-the-cuff episode, and we know we are not alone in how we feel about these things. So definitely chime in and drop a comment on how you feel, your experiences with that.
Yep.
We would love to give you a shout out on the Friday episode and, you know, continue the discussion and dive into your specifics and questions that you have.
Yep.
So make sure you tune in on Friday. Same time, same place, where for the live Q&A, which is going together with our masterclass. And if you have not yet, make sure you register. We'll drop the link in the comments here. And join Building a Better Brand, where we go over the 5-week test and everything.
And everything.
And everything.
Okay. Well, that is it for us. Have a great day. We'll see you on the other side. Isn't that a poltergeist thing?
Yeah. We'll see you Friday.
They're here.
Stop.